Good evening, everybody. What's going on? It's me, John D. Villarreal, rocking my melon shirt here. Now it's Talk Studio. We definitely appreciate Talk Studio and this live stream. This channel is sponsored by. I am sponsored by Talk Studio and formerly Melon, and we definitely appreciate that. A lot to talk about here. Joined by Paula Villarreal on the phone. I've got some cool little announcements as well, kind of partial announcements. I don't know if I should release it yet. We may talk about that on the John D. Villarreal radio show, plus a live stream on News Talk 1040 here in the greater Tampa Bay area. But we'll talk about that a little bit here in a second. And I'm going to take your comments. I can take your comments live on YouTube. We're going to talk about, I saw some of the debate, clips of it, and I did see the Tucker and President Trump debate night interview. Very, very interesting. A lot to talk about there. Who won? Who lost? Let's chop it up. Let's talk about it. Let's see tell me in the comments right now. Who do you think won that debate? What about, did Tucker and President Trump win? I mean, if you look at how many people saw the Tucker and Trump interview, it's unbelievable. I think it's over 80 million views, player. It's unbelievable. I'm telling you right now, I would be shocked and surprised if 80 million people watch the debate on Fox and even will see clips of it later or anything like that. I mean, the amount of views is just outstanding with Tucker and Trump. And a lot was said in there. I mean, it was just nonstop, like action almost. There was a little bit of some maybe not as impactful portions of that debate, maybe towards like the middle or three quarters. But I mean, it was just around 45 minutes of just a lot of activity there. Paul, what is your reaction right now? I'm going to lay out what I think, who I thought won. I'm going to talk about the Trump and Tucker interview. I'm also going to talk about who I think won the debate, but I'll preview it. I think Vivek Ramaswamy just did amazing, number one. Number two, it seemed like they were trying to, it almost looked like there was some softball set up for Governor DeSantis, although I will say that, I don't know if he's been listening or his people or the campaign or whoever's been listening to the John D. Villarreal radio show, but I'm telling you, some things I've been saying, some things I've been talking about, my analysis, I am a political expert. You're starting to see, I don't know what version we're on now of this campaign and or candidate, but this new version, V2.0, V3.0, Ron 5.0, I don't know what it is, but it's getting better. I like what I'm seeing here. I don't think we're quite there yet, but it's getting better for Governor DeSantis in that campaign, in my opinion. But there was reports that Chris Christie was going to go after Trump. So I don't know about that, but everyone seemed to be going after Vivek Ramaswamy, and he was just dismissing them, swatting them back. I mean, just very easily. I mean, he was laughing at them. He looked great. He looked fit. Awesome smile, awesome demeanor, having fun. I mean, the dude is so smart. Like they can't even deal with this dude. And it seemed like you had one real dude. Let's put Governor DeSantis aside for a second, and then the rest are like they just seem like. It's just the old political, a typical politician type of stuff, particularly Mike Pence. Vice President Pence, in my opinion, just looked terrible. It just looked, and I'm not talking visual. I'm not talking anything physical. I don't want to, and this is I'm just doing political analysis right here. I'm not trying to cast aspersions or anything like this. My personal opinion. And Mike's a radio guy, right? I mean, Vice President Pence is a radio guy, but it's like, it just seemed like, here's the lines from a C or D movie, from 40 years ago. This is just standard Republican. Like, it just was so old school. It wasn't even funny. And it just looked so fake. It was unbelievable. I'm not trying to be a punk. Paul, did you see the same thing out there? What are your impressions in general?
Well, okay. First, I have to say, welcome everybody. I only got to see parts of the debate so far because I was primarily focused on the Trump and Tucker interview. But
well, let's start there. That's the big show. I mean, I messed up. That's really the story, player. I mean, that's what's going on. There's probably going to be over 100 million people. It wouldn't surprise me that have seen this. I thought that interview, just jam packed. I mean, I know they did the little intro. They had the preview and short clips. I mean, what was your impression of that interview, Paul?
I thought the interview was fantastic. I thought it was great. Tucker asked some really, like, how can I say it, like, just off the wall type of questions. Like, he asked him, do you think that you might be in danger because your opponents are so crazed against you? Do you think there's going to be a civil war? Just stuff you were not going to get anybody else talking about stuff like this. It was it was just different. And I thought that President Trump handled it all well. The overall thing that I got from the interview was President Trump was totally calm, in command. He was kind. He actually said something nice about the Bushes in there, which is the first time I can remember him saying something nice about the Bushes in a very long time. And the sense that I got from it was, look, this guy knows he's going to win the nomination or feels like it, and now he's trying to unify. Now he's trying to bring people together and kind of smooth out the differences.
That's a good call. Yeah. That's a good call. And let me just say this, and I'm not trying to correct you or anything. I just want to be clear. We're not saying anything. We're not condoning anything. We're not we are in compliance. We want to be in compliance with all the platforms that we're on, everything like that. We're merely reporting, what was asked in this interview. And Paul's right. This was almost. This was like I don't know that you'd ever see this kind of interview on a mainstream media platform. You understand what I'm saying, player? This was pretty much no holds barred. I mean, you hear stuff from President Trump, stuff from Tucker Carlson, talking about some things in the news I don't even want to bring up here. Okay, but it's this, you know what I mean? There's some things here where it's whoa, okay, and that just shows where we're at now, where people are just worried about the terms of all this stuff you got to worry about, the cancel culture. Let's just put it all like that. But now I just refreshed this 80 on X on where they Tucker Carlson's page is here on the Elon Musk, formerly Twitter. 88.9 million views, Paul. I mean, this thing just keeps going, and it's only been out for 3 hours? I mean, not even 3 hours yet. It's unbelievable. So a lot of people, it's 46 minutes and 12 seconds. A lot of people are going to view this, and I like what you're saying right there, and I agree with you. This was Trump in command. This was Trump being able to basically I like the unifying move, everything like that. And look, one of Tucker Carlson's questions to Trump is, what happened to Mike Pence, Vice President Pence?
Yeah.
Right? So give me the state of play as you see it right now. I mean, I saw an interview that it's too bad that Larry Elder wasn't there. I saw the interview that Larry Elder did on the Breakfast Club, and I think, you had the Breakfast Club going after Vivek, in my opinion, rhetorically. I mean, I think that there was, that was a little bit of a tough interview for Vivek with the Breakfast Club, and I think he handled himself well, and he just showed, his intellectual and rhetorical just strength and heft and just really just handled that. And I think Larry Elder did much of the same. Larry Elder, and Laura Ingraham said it, I'll credit to her, I mean, just has a massive, category, repository, what do you want, library, if you will, a Rolodex of facts at his fingertips. Now, I think some of that is he's been a talk show host for I think he said 40 years on the radio. I think the story he had of his father, very, very powerful, very impactful. And I think that the guy's a lawyer, and I think that he's been over this territory and knows his territory a lot. But that shows the expertise that he has. And, they tried to punk out Vivek in the an amateur and a rookie. It's dude, I mean, okay, they've all got the memo. It's almost like when you see something on the news, Paul, and all the anchors are saying the same thing. They're trying to find different ways to say the same thing. Everyone got the memo. Let's hit Vivek on being a rookie. We can't let this outsider break into the club here. And it's dude, the dude started I think he said 2 multi-billion-dollar companies. Like, are you kidding me? Harvard, Yale, and top of his class at Harvard. The guy is obviously brilliant. And let's put all of that aside. Just listen to him talk, dude. And look at Vivek. It was almost like seeing a tennis pro, and a bunch of kids coming in, rich kids coming in to take classes and stuff like that. And they're going to take a shot at the pro, and the pro was just laughing at them. That's how it felt like. Paul, what are your impressions of this campaign right now? Where are we at?
Yeah, look, I think as far as everybody ganging up on Vivek tonight and that type of thing, and he's a rookie, blah, blah, blah. I think Vivek, except for Trump, those are the two non-traditional, non-establishment candidates.
Right.
And so if there's a plan, like, Mitt Romney wrote an op-ed not long ago saying, look, everybody except one establishment person needs to drop out by February. Well, guess what? If Vivek's in there and doing well, you can't do that plan. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure that there's some thought about, let's get Vivek out of here first, and then go do more stuff.
It's almost like they're worried that Vivek's going to be the John Kasich of Governor Kasich of 2024. Right. I think that my impression of it, and the thing is too, is it's like I don't even know how I want to deal with this. If I want to deal with it, let me see if I can deal with this very, very carefully. Representative Haley, Governor Haley, I have great respect. I'm not trying, but I mean, dude, it's kind of like, and Vivek called him out, dude. I mean, he called them super PAC puppets. He called everyone else. I love that line. I don't care if that's a prepared line. That's a dang good line. That's a darn good line. Super PAC puppets. Good for you. Whoever came up with that, Vivek, whoever in your campaign, good on you. Okay, use a little British slang there, if you will. All right, good on you. I love that. And Governor Haley had this line from Margaret Thatcher, and I don't even, I will just refer. I'm not even going to go over it. I'll refer you to the clip, to the debate, to see that, whatever. But all I can say is this: if the roles are to pump herself up, and I don't know. I mean, I don't want to get too. I don't want to cover it here. I will say this: if the roles were reversed, and you had, a man saying that about women, or like, dude, people would flip out. And I'm not trying to like. First of all, it's just like two reactions to that. First of all, we're tired. I mean, this is the Republican primary. We're tired of the people. Let me put that way. People are concerned. I'm not alleging anything. People are concerned about two standards of justice, right? Why are we having this? People don't want, two types of cancel culture. We're sick of all this stuff. We're sick of all this stuff. Number one, right? If the shoe was on the other foot, why is that okay? Why can some people say, I mean, the whole thing is just like junk, number one. Number two, forget about all that. Let's say, because I'm a free speech, almost absolutist. You say whatever you want, whatever it doesn't, sticks and stones, all that type of stuff. Okay. But it just, and again, so I'm not trying to punk anyone out on that. I want to be very clear about that. We're for freedom, love, opportunity, peace, opportunity, liberty for everybody. Right. So say whatever you want, but it's just to illustrate that everybody should be able to say whatever they want without cancel culture. So this is a highlight and an indictment on the cancel culture, because the people that were yay cheering in the hall and maybe particularly outside of the hall should check themselves. Like, you know what? Nobody should be canceled. That's number one. But more importantly, number two is, if that's your calling card, if this is the card you're gonna gonna play to promote your candidacy of why you should be president, like, dude, are you in the right party? What are you doing? Seriously, Governor Haley, you're better than that. You've done things, you've been places, you're very smart, you're very experienced. Stop. That's not. We don't need that. We don't need that. Similarly, and I was watching, I want to be careful how I say this too. I was watching a very liberal blog or something else, or a YouTube channel. I was doing some live comments, and you know, yeah, I'm not gonna go down that road. But I mean, I think there was. Yeah, I'll leave that where it is. Forget. Let me move on from that. I'm just saying is this. I think, you know, the way people were treating Vivek, I think made them look not so great. I mean, for a lot of reasons, it's like, and I like Vivek's. I love Vivek's answer on that. You know what? This is not complicated. This is not that hard. It's not. And you know who proved that? President Trump. This is probably why, like the insiders, Paul, the swamp, you know, the party establishments, you know, the consultants are flipping out because the curtain's been pulled. We've seen it now. Like you don't need 50 years of experience using the same consultants, using the same, you know, here's who you use for TV. Here's who you use for your ads. Here's who you use for your mailers. Here's who you use, and everybody gets paid. Like, you don't need all that. You just need to go in there and do the right thing. Because the problem is, the longer you're in the system, the matrix, whatever you want to call it, you know, unfortunately, you know, it tends to kind of, you lose perspective at best. So anyway, I'm not alleging anything, of course. Look, here's what I'm saying. Vivek came off as authentic. I think it's a three. I think there's only three candidates that matter right now. You know, in my opinion, could change. I wanted to hear more from Senator Scott. I don't know why we didn't. I don't know. Maybe I didn't see all the clips. I'm sure there's more clips out there. I wanted to hear more from Senator Scott. Winners and losers. Chris Christie, big loser. Vice President Pence, significant loser. I thought that Governor Haley came off as, you know, they had this thing on Fox about the abortion thing, whatever, like that. And I didn't follow that. And that's not like something that I, you know, but I think Governor Haley got the better of that. I think she seemed more reasonable on that. I understand where Vice President Pence is coming from. I get it. But I think that he fell back on, here's why I say that. I think it seemed to me that he fell back on, here's the talking points, here's my position, I'm going to get, you know, almost I felt like I'm getting ready for Iowa and all that type of stuff. And Governor Haley was more like, Representative Haley was more like, look, this is what's practical, this is what's real right now, here's, you know, getting in the Senate, this is where the country is right now. And I just felt like that was more of, there are two ways to look at that, you know, and he's at principles versus, look, I'll leave it to you to see what you think about that. But I felt like, you know, Vice President Pence and Chris Christie, the attack, it just, and someone, and I'll say this, the liberal place I was checking out said, yeah, you know, Christie's lost his fastball. Absolutely. Like, it just, whatever the attack, whatever it is, the prosecutor, the U.S. attorney, whatever, I don't know what persona, and it was great because when Chris Christie, I'll say this, Paul, and I'll turn it over to you. When Chris Christie tried to go after Vivek about, you know, being like Obama, experience is like, and Vivek's like, oh, you're gonna give me a hug like you gave Obama? I guess I'll get elected then. And it was awesome, and there was a lot of crosstalk. First of all, Fox News and Brett Baer, Martha totally lost control of the debate. You know, at least a couple times. I don't care too much about that because honestly, like, I'm not who's there to listen to the moderators. No disrespect, Brett. I mean, you're way more successful and, you know, than me and everything like that. I'm nobody. Right? I like to say I'm nobody. I just know a lot of things. Know a lot of people. But, you know, people are tuning in to the candidates. They want to hear the candidates. But I think that response by Vivek was so powerful because it hit on a lot of different levels. One, it was funny. Two, it shows the guy thinks on his feet. Three, it shows what I'm using my, you know, I'm not alleging anything. I'm saying that the impression it gives is that Chris Christie, you're a phony. You're going to sit up here and tell me how, you know, you hugged Obama on the beach, brother. and the guy got elected. Before, I mean, so which Chris Christie are you? Are you conservative Chris Christie now? You're law and order Chris Christie? Or are you the moderate purple state strategy Chris Christie? Are you the Chris Christie that goes on Morning Joe all the time? What are we talking about here? Are you the Chris Christie that was trying to get into the Trump administration and Trump talked about Chris Christie? He was asking which in his interview with Tucker tonight, which agency he wanted, and Trump's like, I just said no to it. It's I couldn't trust him. That's my paraphrase of what Trump says. And so I think Christie and I have to see more of the clips and see what happens out there, and we'll see more of the coverage. But from what I could see, Governor Christie and Vice President Pence were big losers tonight. More so Chris Christie, I think. I think Pence has his lane, and we'll see what happens in Iowa. And look, I mean, Chris Christie polling amazingly well in New Hampshire, so we'll see. I'm not saying, I'm just saying what I saw for tonight. It doesn't mean this is going to have massive impact on the campaign, because I don't think this debate's going to have a lot of impact on the campaign. I've already said that. I think that Vivek elevated himself. He can handle the big stage. He looked great. He was funny. He was engaging with the audience. I'm sure he had pre-prepared lines, but he didn't feel so much pre-prepared. But I think a lot of it was impromptu and off script. We've seen he doesn't need a script. And in fact, Paul, you were commenting to me, he was making fun of the other candidates, saying, hey, his debate preparation was him on the tennis court, stuff like that. So Vivek did good. I think that Governor DeSantis is getting things a little bit more tuned, a little bit more on track. We'll see how far that goes. And the rest, I didn't really see much out of the rest. And the people that did make the debate, I think, are pretty much done, with the maybe exception of Larry Elder. I think that, we'll see. I think Larry Elder did great on the Breakfast Club, has a lot to contribute, and so we'll see there. But I think, Mayor Suarez and some of the others didn't make the debate. I think that's over. But I really, right now, it's down to President Trump is in total command. And I think it's President Trump. I think it's Vivek. And I think it's Governor DeSantis. And I think at some point, Governor DeSantis didn't seem to interact too much with Vivek. And looked like a lot of people were staying away from Governor DeSantis. From what I see, it didn't seem to be it seemed like all the action was focused against Vivek. And it seemed like it was all on the same talking points. So that, question mark there. But at some point, Governor DeSantis and Vivek, I think, are going to have to lock horns. And that's going to be interesting. Paul, what do you think?
Yeah, that's what I was saying too. What I heard was that not a lot of people went after DeSantis, and after Vivek and DeSantis didn't really go after each other, but definitely they're going to have to do that. And look, I think Vivek did well from what I heard. Vivek is a great speaker. Doesn't matter what he knows or doesn't know.
It's amazing.
In terms of experience, that a Haley thing, because I was following somebody who's a foreign policy expert, PhD, and, like foreign policy, national security, and she's like, yeah, Vivek's 100% right. Nikki Haley, you're totally wrong. It's not about experience and whatever. If you're doing the wrong thing, it doesn't matter how much experience you have. And so if you're going along with neoconservative stuff or poor foreign policy ideas, then experience is bad. All you've done is stuff the wrong way. So Vivek's coming at it from a different perspective, a new perspective, the same that President Trump came at it. What foreign policy experience did President Trump have? Guess what? When he came in, no new wars. So I'm okay with a person with without that experience. Governor Haley's fine. I know some people were trying to really promote her, and she did great, but she's gonna hit a certain level, and I don't think she should get beyond that. And Vivek he's just at a totally different level and year than everybody else because of how well he speaks and how quick he thinks. And I mean, that's what it is.
Well, and right. And the thing is, if we want to be, I want to say this as diplomatically as I can. I'm in the Tim Scott, Clarence Thomas, Vivek camp, if you will. Like if we want everyone, and I would say Professor Yu, and I'm not speaking for anyone else or anything like that. My former constitutional law professor at UC Berkeley School of Law, and they had him on the show recently. He did a great interview, fantastic, and definitely appreciate that, Professor Yu. And we've got could be some incredible guests coming up. We might be talking about that soon here. I've been in contact with some of our awesome congressional representatives around here in Florida, and I think we might be hopefully seeing some great guests coming on soon. We're gonna have some business guests too. We're live on LinkedIn and Facebook. We're gonna have some business guests soon, as early as I guess really Monday. But if we want to judge people for the content of their character, right? Martin Luther King and stuff like that. Like if we're the Republican Party, if we want to show people standard, so we don't need to, we don't need, if you're going to lead, lead with your ideas. Don't lead with the group politics, identity politics stuff. Like, just stop. That's how it came off to me. Look, Governor Haley's clearly very smart, very experienced. She's a lot to offer. Just stick with that. That's just my little, I'm not giving advice. I'm just some, clown talk show host here, okay? But that's what I would say. But I am a political expert, right? And I've done really well when I've been involved in campaigns and stuff like that. So, and listen, my calls have been right all along the way. The people that were laughing at me aren't laughing anymore, right? Or they're crying. Right, the people that thought, oh, Mayor Suarez, where are you at? People, DeSantis. I told you, got to pump the brakes. There's some issues here. People like, oh, Trump's never gonna. How is it looking now? So, it's this, and I'm gonna refresh it right now. I wouldn't be surprised, Paul, if we're over 100 million in views right now.
It's not quite there yet, but it's definitely. I'm looking at it right now. We'll be there before too long.
92.2 million views on the Tucker Carlson thing. I mean, it's just outstanding. It's unbelievable. So, I don't think that, to use the Oliver Anthony song, the rich men north of Richmond know what to do with President Trump. Because and now you've got to worry about Vivek, because whatever you think, and it's just what you saw, and I really love that line. I just think it's really, really good. Super PAC puppets that Vivek used, because it's what it is, because you really saw it tonight, whether it was. And then someone exposed this too, where basically they had this panel before the debate. Martha McCallum. I want to give the quote. I want to give the I think this was on Breitbart, so I really want to give the right credit to this. I think it was on Breitbart. Basically, they had a panel, and one of the people that was a big DeSantis supporter turned out to be someone that's been I will lead you to that, but basically was involved with one of these groups out here that hasn't been for Trump, and I think there was someone with I think they were tied to the Koch brothers, and I may be wrong. I'm not alleging anything. It's my personal opinion.
The person on Fox?
No, the person that was on Fox. Yeah, a person. They have, how they have the little vote. Let's talk to the voters.
Yeah.
Right. And
that
I think
person was affiliated with Americans for Prosperity.
That's what I saw. That's what I saw.
Conservative Treehouse covered that. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're not disclosing that. You're not disclosing that. So it's like
totally didn't disclose it.
And what I'm saying is that I think tonight, and within the last week, like particularly tonight, you really started to see it. Again, I'm not alleging anything, but it felt like, my personal opinion, that the strings, you could see the strings. And it's funny because Paul was talking to me about someone that was talking about they were trying to run for office in California, and immediately they were like, who's your consultant? Who are you going to use for it? When I was thinking about running for the congressional 11th district in California, right, where we grew up and everything like that, and had a name, and my dad had a name and everything like that, I was thinking about it. And when I talked to I'm not going to name a bunch of names because I just I don't want to make it like a personal thing, whatever. When I started talking to the party people and going to events, and I'm thinking maybe, I don't know, immediately, who's your consultant and how much money have you raised? That's not. What's your story? What are your issues? Why would you want to do that? Oh, that it's money. And are you using the insiders? Are you using the insiders? Because these people get paid. Win, lose, or draw, the House always wins. And they want to control the House, bro. I'm not talking to anyone specifically. I'm just saying writ large, right? And it's and a lot of people said that this debate could have been a trap for Trump. You got Vice President Pence there. You pepper him with questions about these legal stuff going on and everything. And is that what you remember, Pence? And like enough of that. We don't need any of that, dude. We don't want any of that. I mean, and so I think a lot of things, Paul, this last week have been very exposed, dude. And I think the circuits in the matrix are showing now, dude. And people are waking up from the fever dream in some respect. And I'm not alleging anything, and there's no conspiracy. I'm just using the metaphors, the vernacular of the day. Go ahead, Paul. What are your comments on that?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think, look, for DeSantis, and if you believe that the establishment is behind DeSantis, which many people do feel that, or the anti-Trump faction, this is, as you said, this is what I think. This is at least the fourth iteration of DeSantis' campaign in terms of reboots and all this stuff.
I know.
This was the debates, or the last thing left. It was well, wait until you get into the race and wait until
the ads are going to save us.
Right, the ads. And so the debates were kind of like, this is the last big thing. And, so there's been a shaping up. Yeah, I'm sure he did do better, but it's...
Well, it was fits and starts. It wasn't like, it's like, okay, that's good, but then like the demeanor, like, I don't know what, I'm not trying to be a punk, and I'm not trying to be a punk, all right, and I'm not perfect, and, I don't look like I did, whenever, years ago when I was competing and all that type of stuff, and, my wife's always making fun of my gut and everything. It's like, whatever. It's like, okay, well, I'm not kidding anymore, I'm not competing, but the point is so I don't make it like a visual thing, and I'm not trying to call it, but there's this almost quiet, there's just I don't know, it's almost like you're at a party, or you're getting up there before an audition or something like that. It's almost like DeSantis just doesn't know how to just be or stand something, or he'll be in character, then he'll break character. It's hard to, and I'm not alleging anything. I'm just talking, as an entertainer, as someone that is great public speaking and all the type of radio, TV, streaming. It's just there's something there. Like if I was involved in the campaign or something, I'm not giving any advice. Like that's almost the first thing I would work on. And the laugh, like, I mean, if that's how he laughs, and that's how he laughs, but it seems so forced, dude. It seems like a weird audition for Joker or something. Like, I don't know. I'm not trying to be a punk. It's there's something just off there. I don't know what it is, but I guess what I'm saying is Vivek, you could tell where, okay, these are probably lines from Vivek, but it's still totally cool. Like Vivek came off as very real, very relatable. Haley came off as a politician, but polished and reasonable. I saw flashes of stuff from DeSantis that I liked. I liked the tune. It's like almost if you're doing a tune on a computer, or you're doing a map of a car for a race. I'm like, okay, this tune's a little bit better. I like this, but we have some soft spots in the torque curve here, or something like that. I don't know. Like there's some things to still work on. Pence and Chris Christie, it's just not. It's just, and all the rest. It was just like, this is politics 1.0. It's not working for today's era. It's not where it is right now. But I do think you put all that aside, because I think Trump and Tucker really have the finger or the thumb on the pulse of where it is right now, of what's at stake in this election, what people are feeling, the rich men north of Richmond. And I think that this was so brilliant by both Tucker and Trump. You had the RNC and Fox on one side, and Tucker, who has recently left Fox, and Trump, who didn't go to the debate, President Trump, on the other side. And the contrast, Paul, couldn't be starker in terms of issues talked about. Like someone brought this up too. One of the first issues was climate change from Fox. Like, what are we doing? Like, in fact, I saw this thing, and I can't remember where it was. I'm not alleging anything. But it was like, yeah, if you look at all the, and no one talks about this, you look at the advances of the U.S. in terms of emissions and in terms of all these types of things, and everything's going down and trending down. Like there's been big progress. And I've always said, and Elon, no less than Elon must have said, but I've said this for decades, that the way we're going to solve this is through technology, right? And surprise, surprise, even the people pushing EVs, that you're saying the same thing in a different way, that, there are things we need to work on. There's things we need to address. And I think Governor Haley said this. I mean, everyone wants clean air and clean water, of course. But, it's a matter of, are we going to totally wreck our economy? Do we believe the glass is half empty or half full? How do we, put it another way, what's the best way to solve problems, right? And what's the best way to come together? And President Trump talked about this. Like, we need to come together. Like, I'm sick of the hyper-partisanship. People need to get along together. People need to be cool. And I mean, I think in the end of the day, and I'm not saying this is going to happen. I think it's going to be Biden and Trump, and I've said that for a long, long time. But I think if it was like, you look at Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and Vivek, we could do a lot worse. We need people that are willing to go on the other side. We need someone of Vivek that'll go to the Breakfast Club, that will go to barbershops, that will go on liberal shows, that will go on the, who's the one guy, I forget, he went on this big podcast. I mean, Vivek will go everywhere, right? And Robert F. Kennedy Jr. will go everywhere. He'll go work out with his shirt off at Venice Beach. He'll go on Hannity's show. He'll go on Tucker's show. He'll go on he'll PBS, CNN, whatever. And I think that's good. President Biden and I think President Trump was talking about, like, what's up with all this beach stuff? Like it's kind of weird. It's not even presidential. And I don't know. I mean, and I guess Trump's more like Manhattan suits okay. And, or golf courses and we're there at Bedminster. So I don't have a problem with the beach, but I do have a problem with, taking a little, I think he should have been out in Maui a little faster. I don't like, that whole trip with Maui was kind of, and we're talking about stories like, there's serious questions out there with Maui. We even need to bring that up on the show. I don't want to say that. There's a lot to be done and discussed over there about, Maui, and our hearts and thoughts and prayers go out to those people out there. That the response, I don't think didn't look super good to me. I'm not saying I'm an expert on it. But what I'm saying is we have to get beyond the puppets and the puppeteers. We got to, if you believe that, and that's an analogy, and that's a metaphor. I'm not alleging anything. We need real talk with real, and that will then refer you to the Larry. And again, I'm not condoning anything or any language or any kind of anything like that. But just in general, I think it's instructive to watch this discussion with Larry Elder on the Breakfast Club, where they were coming at him, and he just, over time, just walked him down and backed him off. It's kind of like what he told his story with his dad, that he was like, was having a tough discussion with his dad when I was young, you did X, Y, and Z. And as he said, as that discussion went on, dad got bigger, Larry Elder got smaller, because he started to see things through the eyes of his dad. And we need to get real in this country. We have real issues and real problems. And do we want to be, here's the deal, bottom line. Do you want to be in a society where there's super, super elite rich people and everyone else is just in the proverbial mud, has no opportunity, has no hope, is struggling just to survive, is homeless, and everything is all corporate controlled and corporate approved, and you have social credit scores and digital currency and everything like that? Like, I don't think that's a great future for us or our kids. I'm all for technology and everything. I'm not saying anything specifically, but I mean, that's what's on the table. And do we want politicians that are going to listen to the people and represent the people, or are they only going to represent special interests? And if you're super rich or you're super connected, and we've seen stories, I'm not going to say anyone, seen some stories out there, and President Trump and Tucker were talking about some different things where they're potentially above the law and do whatever they want. Or if you're with the right party, you can do whatever you want. Or if you say the right things, you can do whatever you want. And everyone else is just, if you jaywalk, you're going to prison for life. Like, who wants to, that's what's at stake. Not who likes who, and this person said that, and we're going to cancel them, and I'm in this group, and you're in that group, and running circuses, distraction, having us fight over stuff. It's crazy, and I've never bought into any of that stuff. And it's so funny because everything I've been saying, Paul used to be the biggest liberal in the world, or well, not the biggest, but he was, and my family, unfortunately, was drinking that Kool-Aid. That's the saying, right? And I'm like, and it's like, over time, Paul got it, because I kept telling him, kept hitting facts. Not unlike Vivek, not unlike Trump in a lot of ways, definitely not unlike Larry Elder. And at a certain point, like, if you're a thinking person, you got to look at the facts. And that's where we need to be. And that's why we don't want the super PAC puppets and stuff like that. And so it's like, I'm for freedom, liberty, opportunity, equality for everyone. I'm going to maximize the liberty, maximize the freedom for everyone. I don't care what you do. You do whatever you want to do as long as you're not hurting anybody else. We're the land of the free, home of the brave. God bless diversity. God bless immigration. God bless all that type of stuff. But we have to do something that you do you, but don't tell me what to do. And don't leave my kids alone. You know what I mean? And let's create a more, well, equally important, let's create a system where everyone has the opportunity to win. Not that if you don't vote the right way, or if you're not born to a rich family or not born to a connected family, you're done. You're donezo from the start. And that's what I said we're talking about the debate and stuff like that. But what I've been saying about commenting on relationships, because there's a lot of stuff with the manosphere, and I have my criticisms of the manosphere, and we talked about that. But there is a larger conversation, and Larry Elder talked about this in the Breakfast Club and brought some reality to them. If you try to raise a family without having two parents, particularly today in this economy with inflation, it is frighteningly difficult. On top of the psychological and social struggles that children statistically are going to face. So we have real serious problems and issues that we need to confront right now. But all of it's fixable. I mean, think about it, as hard as it is now, think about if you lived 100, 200, 300 years ago. You know what I mean? When they didn't even have running water and all that type of stuff in houses. So all of it is perspective. And even like people living in poverty in America are still top 1% in the world. So all of it is we are still very, very blessed here in America. So, but we need to get our hands around it and create opportunity, and we can be better than ever if we adhere to the Constitution and give everyone the opportunity to win, and have the system that's right, and have leaders that are responsive to and looking out for the average American. And again, these principles obviously can travel worldwide as well. Paul, what are your final comments before we wrap up?
Yeah, look, that's what we need to focus on. We need to come together. We need to focus on the Constitution. We need to focus on, in my opinion, we need to focus on the America first. And we need to focus on, let's rebuild things here. Let's get some jobs back here. Let's get some manufacturing jobs back here. Let's focus on energy independence as we have for, and let's move forward. I mean, this is what we need to do. And so it's like, look, I think tonight was a good night. It was a clarifying night in a lot of respects.
Yeah,
Trump and Tucker
agreed.
were great.
Yeah.
I thought that Vivek was fantastic.
Yeah, great.
I thought that DeSantis was improved. And like you said, Haley is a politician. He's fairly polished. But, Trump is way on top. Vivek's really making a name for himself. And I think that, it's everybody else after that.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just I will say this, and again, I'll go back to the exchange between Vice President Pence and Vivek. Vice President Pence had a line in there, and listen, everyone makes mistakes. I make mistakes all the time. I'm not trying to it's particularly on live and stuff like that. Everyone is going to make a mistake or multiple mistakes live. I probably made multiple mistakes in this broadcast right now. But there's a line there that Vice President, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to call it out. But I mean, I'm going to call it out, but I'm not going to say it. That Vice President Pence had, talking about, when he was exchanging with Vivek, and I would get rid of immediately, and maybe call Vivek and say, "Hey, Vivek, you know what I mean? Square that up." That's just me. That's my personal opinion. Whatever. I didn't mean whatever. Just clarify that. And again, I'm not trying to be overly sensitive, and a lot of times things can be, you have two or three different, whatever, it can be misinterpreted or there's multiple interpretations, stuff like that. And that's why I think it would be, because listen, I always feel like it's important to just call people, talk about it, clarify whatever, and all that type of stuff. But it's I like what you said there, Paul. I agree with you. I think this was a clarifying night. If you didn't know why President Trump is running and why he's needed, in my opinion, in this campaign right now, then I would go watch that interview with Tucker Carlson. And obviously almost 100 million people have. Similarly, you could say the same thing about Vivek. And Governor DeSantis, to some degree, or consultants, looks like there's somehow they've got the reins back. Not totally, maybe one hand on the campaign, but there's a lot more work that needs to be done there. And I think no less than Fox News, Brett, Martha, and the rest of those candidates need to look in the mirror and figure out what's what. And I think the question also needs to be asked. I don't know, but why wasn't Larry Elder there? Because I think he could have added to this discussion. But I mean, I don't know if they didn't make, I don't, the criteria, whatever. But all the candidates on the stage, off the stage, Mayor Suarez, Representative Hurd, Larry Elder, all of them are invited on the John D. Villarreal show to talk about the issues and all of that. And so, yeah, I think it was a good night. I think that, Vice President Pence and Governor Christie were the quote-unquote losers of the debate, in my opinion. I think that Trump and Tucker, huge winners. I think Trump was a huge winner by not going to the debate. I think that the campaign's effectively over. For now, it could change. We could see. But I think that, Vivek, huge winner. Governor DeSantis, yeah, I think I don't know if the campaign's hit bottom, but I think is a winner. I mean, the problem that Governor DeSantis has is it's hard for him to find the right space. And we talked about this. It's really hard for him to find the right space. He won by stopping an attack Trump, because that's just not going to work. You can't go that route. There's the authenticity questions, there's the relatability questions, but also to the extent that, it's not totally this way, but there does seem to be some relationship between him and Vivek. In other words, the better that Vivek does, you can see as DeSantis' support drops, Vivek's goes up. You know what I mean? Like there's
yeah, you know what?
Yeah.
Just to say, interject on that, and I've compared this to this on Twitter.
Go.
It's like Beto and Pete. They're in the same lane, and then Pete went up and Beto went down.
Yeah, that's a great call. And you say, like that's a great call, because Pete in time, Mayor Pete, Secretary Pete, Buttigieg is, to me, I sound like a punk when I say this, and I mean this. I mean, it's like, to me, he comes off as a phony and a lightweight. But Beto's like a super phony and a lightweight. Okay, and so
he can talk.
And Pete can talk, and Pete's a professional, and he's been. I think he's done stuff with McKinsey, and I mean, like Pete can show up and has a level of credibility and has a little of interaction and can. I mean, yeah, maybe he's got the cool shoes when he's traipsing around East Palestine, but there's a there with Secretary Buttigieg, you know what I mean? And there's a level of respect and stuff, and you don't feel like it's all an act. He's not jumping up on every table like Beto and stuff. You know what I mean? Like right. So it's like, yeah, I mean, like if I had a team, and again, forget it, politics aside, if I had a team, or, like if you're picking for dodgeball or something like that, like if I have a team for a company or politics, whatever, I'm absolutely picking Buttigieg before I'm picking Beto, right? There's no question about it. That's a really good point. And similar,
yeah, it's the same. The analogy is Beto was super hyped, and Pete overtook him, and so it's like, DeSantis was super hyped, and now Vivek's overtaken him. It's just see like that.
No, that's a good call. That's perfect. I'm glad you interrupted me. That's perfect. That's exactly right. And so Governor DeSantis did a good job of hitting the record and the COVID, and the crowd reacted. And I don't trust the crowd, because the crowd in these things,
Crowd is like a stacked crowd.
Stacked. Yeah. I never. Yeah. I mean, anytime you're doing these party run stuff,
for Trump not to go,
right?
Would have got booed and stuff.
Yeah, I just don't. I don't like that stuff. But so I don't. The crowd, response means nothing to me in these things. But I think Vivek has a clear raison d'etre, right? To use my not well pronounced, but my old friends. He has a clear rationale, reason, philosophy for why he's running. Governor DeSantis, you have to find that again. And you're starting to find a little bit of that. That's why I'm saying one hand's on the reins. Like that's what you have to figure out right now and speak to. And again, not about in general. Why are you still running with the polls coming down? Why are you still in that race? And all those candidates have to ask that, and particularly the candidates that weren't on the debate have to answer that. But Vivek clearly can answer that and can speak to that. And in some ways, I think Larry Elder can speak to that. And so I think that Governor Haley, it was as expected, fine. You know, I think that was neutral. Didn't hurt, didn't help. And so I think that's where it is. So coming out of this, some rays of sunshine for Governor DeSantis helped him a little bit, but is it enough? But here's the thing: we're running out of time. Because the problem of it is this debate was hyped up, the first debate. Like Governor DeSantis needed something massive to happen to change the trajectory. I don't think he got that. So in some ways he's a winner, in some ways he's a loser, right? Because you're just it's like if you're down in a baseball game, because he's a former baseball player, it's the 8th inning now. I'm not saying it's the 9th, but it's at least the bottom of the 7th, if not the 8th inning. And you're down like 10 runs. You know, you got on base, but you didn't score. So it's better than getting struck out, but you didn't really. It's also in some ways you're doing better, but you still lost that inning. Does that make sense? Right? And whereas Vivek's perfectly positioned to be the number 2. He you could see President Trump picking him as VP. You could see President Trump put him in the cabinet and all that. None of those lanes seem to be available right now for Governor DeSantis. Did a good job in stopping to criticize Trump, because you're not against Trump. You're so far away from that. You got to figure out how to position yourself and save your brand and right this ship. Some of those things are being done. I like some of the things that I saw. The rest, it's forget it. You know, that's where it's at. And so I think that even somehow Trump is not the nominee, you've got Vivek right there. So the insiders and the super PAC puppets and all that type of stuff, it's a very, very interesting time. Let me ask you this, Paul, before I close on you on this. Where do you think this puts, what do you think the RNC is thinking now, and where does this put Fox News? And where does this put the traditional consultant class and all this type of stuff? Because I think they've got some big problems right now in regards to all this stuff with Vivek and Trump and Tucker and all of this.
Well, I think it makes everything is changing. One of the biggest things tonight, one of the biggest losers of the night was Fox News.
Huge.
Because this, the Tucker and Trump thing is going over 100 million. As you said, far more than what Fox will get for their stuff. People don't need Fox anymore. They don't need Rupert Murdoch anymore. And Trump shared that in 2016, but it's getting even more the case now. I mean, how much have they promoted Vivek? But Vivek's clearly breaking out to, I think he's going to probably end up, as you said, in the number 2 slot. They haven't promoted him much. Now they're starting to because they have to. But he didn't rely on them. So I think like the consultants, the traditional media outlets for the Republican Party, they're getting less and less relevant. And of course, the less relevant they get, the harder they're going to fight to keep it. That's where we see people like Lincoln Project or whatever. This is how they make their money. This is how they get their influence. And so they're going to fight to keep traditional candidates and keep the money flowing, which of course personally, and we've seen in various times.
Well, yeah, and that was the thing. Like with my whole feeling, my whole vibe on the Miami Tech thing, and just politics in general right now. And again, going to Vivek's point of the super PAC puppets, and who knows, maybe he's been watching some of my stuff. I don't know. I'd love to have him on the show, no doubt about it. We're tired of, and then again, you see some of the stuff in the news here, about all this other stuff, right? It's like people are tired of all the sellouts and who can sell out the fastest, who can sell out for the most, and whether it's like, and it's crazy, right? And it's just, and again, like you said, people were saying like, hey, why are we sending all this? I mean, separate issue, right? Totally separate issue. But people said like, why are we sending all this money, proposing to send more money to Ukraine when we've got this disaster over here in Maui? Like, it's just crazy, dude. It's gotten too crazy. So it's just, we're tired of the platitudes and everything like that. Like, we want real results and real representation. So anyway, very, very interesting. Very, like you said, Paul, clarifying night. Very interesting night. Love to hear your comments on there. I'll try to respond to things as I see them. If you like the video, let me know and stuff like that. And there you go. So yeah, that was a very interesting night. I think that this only solidifies President Trump's lead. And I think that also Vivek's going to go up even farther. And we'll see. We'll see what happens with Governor DeSantis. I see some good signs, but there's a lot more work to do. And I think that those are the three to watch right now. So anyway, that's my opinion. Hey, for Paul, I'm John D. Villarreal. Thanks so much for watching. Appreciate it. Have a good night. See you next time.